Welcome back to another episode of The Blueprint, sponsored by Slow Burn Brakes. I'm your host, Calvin Custance. On The Blueprint, we interview talented athletes and they share knowledge that they've collected over their time playing their sport. From balancing life and relationships to recruiting and training, there is always something you can learn. This week's guest is Tommie Boyd, a wide receiver cornerback from Utica High School. He's a 3-year varsity starter and currently has 10-plus offers, including offers from Northwood and Lawrence Tech. Welcome to the show, Tommie. So this week we got a 3-year varsity starting receiver and cornerback from Utica High School, Tommie Boyd. And so we'll get this episode started. So first off, what's your favorite food?
I'm really picky, honestly. I don't eat a whole lot of stuff, kind of keep like the basics. So probably go with like honey barbecue wings, honestly. Just that kind of area. I'm really picky with that. So yeah, probably honey barbecue wings is my favorite.
Boneless or bone-in? Because that's a very serious topic for some people.
Depends the mood, but majority of the time bone-in. But it depends, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get a lot of backlash from I don't like bone-in wings. I like boneless because for me, like this is just me, but it's easier to eat. It's like I can just use a fork instead of like instead of being like a caveman diving into it. It's like I'll get bone-in like occasionally, or if it's buffalo, I'll get bone-in. But sometimes, like most of the time, I'm boneless. So, what's your favorite class at school?
It's an elective, but to me, it's a class. It's finance, and I like it a lot. Just I feel like it teaches you about the stuff about your future and like how to spend your money, how to save your money. So I feel like it's a really educating class. So I kind of am big on that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite movie?
Probably say The Blind Side, honestly. I just think it was really well done, and I've watched it since I was younger with my family, so it's kind of just a good, definitely.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
And then, do you have a favorite song or musical artist?
Artist is Drake for sure. I've always loved Drake since I've been young. It's like me and my sister, she put me on to him, but it's always like since I was like really young, we both just always liked Drake. So Drake's my favorite artist. And then song, probably Forever by Drake.
Yeah. Is that the one that has I'm not a rap guy. Anyone that knows me knows that, but I think I know that's the one with like Eminem and
yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's I actually do know that song, which is a rarity when it comes to stuff like that. Do you have a favorite video game?
Any type of Madden, any year Madden. I was a big 2K guy for a while. I used to love 2K, but after 19, I kind of dropped off and just kind of stuck to Madden. So.
Mm-hmm. And then, what's your favorite team to play Madden with?
I try to use the Lions, but it gets real stressful after a while. So I'll kind of do the Chiefs, and I'll use the Ravens, or I'll go use. Well, I would use the Chiefs when Tyreek was on them, but now I kind of go to the Dolphins, just try and cheese with them, honestly. But it works.
Yeah, having Waddle and Tyreek Hill on the same team is not easy to defend in real life or on Madden. Like we're seeing teams struggle with Dolphins third-string quarterbacks because it's hard to guard those two guys. Like speed kills, especially when you have that much of it. And then do you have if you could live anywhere in the world, where'd it be?
Either somewhere in Florida or Hawaii.
Why is that?
I think Hawaii is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's Hawaii. It's just dope all around. And I feel like it's a lot of people's dream place to live just because, the waters and everything that's so unique about it. And then Florida, I have a lot of family in Florida right now. My sister lives there, my grandma. So it's kind of just all of us would be in one area. It'd be kind of dope.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Do you have a favorite animal?
Probably a cheetah, honestly.
And that explains itself. Yeah. And then favorite holiday?
Honestly, liking Halloween a lot as of lately. Like just like the feeling right now, like I was getting a little bit cold. I don't know why. I dig that. I like it a lot. So probably going Halloween or Christmas, one of the two.
And then do you have a favorite tradition you do on either of those holidays?
Christmas, just besides the getting up in the morning with your family, we usually go to my aunt's Christmas Eve and we hang out there. We play board games and whatnot. So I always have fun doing that.
Nice. And then finally, what are some of your hobbies outside of sports?
Really, I'm actually really big with I've been getting interested in like editing and like taking pictures and photography, stuff like that. So that's kind of my new thing I've been into. And I'm starting to get more serious with that and looking at things like that. So
That's cool. It's good to branch out. Like I know a lot of people like focusing on sports, but it's good to have other stuff as almost like an outlet because sometimes it can like you don't want to burn yourself out. That's something that I
right.
like struggle with is burnout from different things. All right. So I already mentioned you play football. Do you play any other sports besides football?
I usually run track. I didn't last year because I was hurt, but I ran my sophomore year, and I think I'm probably gonna do it again this year. So track too.
And then how long have you played football and then track as well?
Played since I was 4 in football. I started a little bit early just to get a little head start, try and help myself out. It was a flag league, but I mean, it's still fun to start a little bit early. And then track, I had my first organized track meet in 7th grade, so not too early, but
Yeah. And then have you always played receiver and corner for football?
no. Before high school started, I was actually a running back for my whole life, pretty much, and I was always running back in the corner, but yeah, the high school I switched.
Is why'd you switch from running back to receiver?
I think honestly, mostly it was probably because of the size differential. And I think they found new ways in high school to use my speed in the receiver position and get me moving around a lot compared to just being in the backfield and just doing whatever.
Hmm. So, do you watch much professional or college sports?
More college than professional, but so I guess like a certain amount. Yeah, I watch Michigan State pretty much majority of the time they play, but more college than NFL for sure, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, Lions aren't entertaining enough for you.
Nah, it's not looking good, man.
Yes, bro. The Lions are so hard to watch because every year, like I know it was like it wasn't right to have expectations coming into this year, but Hard Knocks really gave everyone expectations that they'd
Right.
be, and then just like it's hard to watch sometimes.
You're telling me.
Just this like they're this close like it's
I
not like
know.
they're getting blown out. Like last week was bad.
Right.
But yeah, it gets rough. So are there any professionals that you like looked up to or kind of like model your game after?
Uh, I'd say probably Tyreek for sure, just because I think speaks for himself, the speed, everything he does, and then Cooper Cup because he's really good with his feet and his technique is just so like insane. So I try to look up a lot to him in that, and then just those two, I try to model my game after them pretty much, honestly.
Are there any drills or specific techniques that you've taken from them that you applied to yourself?
Tyreek has this drill where he takes like a thick band, he puts it around his waist to like kind of down to like his knees, and he'll like drive his knees. It's how he works on his speed because the more you step out with the band, the harder it gets to pick your knees up and fight up through the resistance. So I do that a lot. Me and my dad do. It's called the resistance bands, and it's helped a lot when it comes to speed.
And then any other drills that you've found extremely effective for either speed or just playing receiver in general?
Honestly, I think it's called a reaction drill. I stole it off of TikTok. Honestly, it's you put your back to a wall with a tennis ball in your hand if you play receiver, and you throw the tennis ball like behind you off the wall, and you can't look up for it, but your goal is to wait for it to like cross into your vision, and then you throw your hand out to go catch it. And I think that's done a lot for my catch radius, and it's made it a lot easier, to catch unexpected passes that just are coming fast. But
No, it's sweet. So, when would you say that you started considering playing football at the next level?
I mean, I always had the kind of idea of it since I've probably been in middle school. My friends always talked about it. It was always like oh, we're gonna go play here, we're gonna do this. But I think it really kicked in probably my freshman year when I started seeing my varsity teammates or the other kids get offers, and I was like, this is like a real thing. Like you can do this. Like you just gotta be determined and work for it.
Hmm. So, what would you say that like a regular off-season training day looks for you?
So going into my senior year, I was, like I said, I was hurt still, but as soon as I got back healthy and I could fully do everything, I think I was training 3 to 4 days a week during the week, that is. And it would be go to school, obviously. And in sixth hour, I have a weight class. So we lift weights a lot in that class. So I would do that. And then I'd come home. And then my dad, who's my trainer, we would either go to Utica, the field, or in my basement, we actually have turf. So we would go to one of those two. And then we'd just get working on my footwork, get the feet nice and moving and work on my cuts, hands, just everything. Kind of just whatever he tells me to do. I just kind of do it.
You said you have turf in your basement?
Yeah, it's like a little patch. It's dope. It's dope. It's not like huge, but it's something like where you don't feel like going to field if it's raining. We're downstairs with you. Let's go.
Oh, that's sweet. How long
Yeah.
have you had that?
We actually just got it going into my senior year, so I think like last March, honestly. But yeah,
That's sweet. So, what injury were you coming off of?
I tore meniscus, my lateral meniscus.
When
Yeah,
did that happen?
it happened in the summer going into my junior football season. So I think it was. I remember the day. It was in the morning. We were doing footwork actually with my team, not with my trainer. We were doing my team, and I just planted raw. And automatically, I felt some weird pain like shoot down my leg. I didn't think too much of it because I was just coming off a hamstring problem. So I was like, I'm not gonna think much of it. I'm just gonna let it go.
Mm-hmm.
It bothered me all season, but I tried to play through it. And eventually, in getting week 8, it gave out on me, and I was like, yeah, I got to sit down. So then we got the MRI, and it came back to my lateral meniscus was torn.
Wait, so you played through 8 games with a.
Yeah,
Wow, do you think that you tore it in the last game, or do you think you tore it the entire time it was torn?
I feel like ever since probably the start of it, it was torn. I just think it got so much worse over time. Like there was a point where throughout the whole 8 weeks of our games, I couldn't even stretch that leg. I was just stretching one leg because I could barely even pull my leg back.
Wow. What'd you do to help with either easing the pain, or what were some recovery things that you did throughout that injury?
Like during the season or after?
Both.
During the season, honestly, there wasn't much you could do just because it is so much pain. So adrenaline kicked in a lot in the games. It kind of just took over for me. But I just tried to I worked a lot on stretching it just as much as I could, even though it was really hard. I would do stretches that I could do. I would go to my chiropractor, have him try to help me massage it. I would do cryotherapy just because it really does help all the pain. It kind of numbs it for as much as it can. And I would wear a little knee sleeve that like compressed it, so the pain it was still there, but it was a lot less because it was just so compressed.
Yeah. And then during the recovery process, so just all during the off season, everything, what were some of the things that helped you through the recovery of a torn meniscus?
Well, I actually ended up getting surgery on it. So after the surgery, I ended up going to physical therapy for about 5 or 6 months. They did a lot for me with one leg. Just I was doing one leg like the leg press machine. I was doing one leg with those, and then I had to like work on my balance because my quad was so weak at that point because there's not much you can do to work it out because you're in so much pain. So there was a big difference in my left leg from my right leg and like strength. So did a lot of working on it just with the weights and then free body stuff, holding my balance and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And then this is this unrelated to the knee problems, but what's the way that you recover after playing a game? Is there anything you do after the game specifically, or do you just kind of rest up for the next week?
Still to this day, I go to cryotherapy pretty much whenever I can because it really does do a lot for you. If I'm really that sore that night, I'll get a couple ice bags and put them wherever I'm feeling a lot of pain. I make sure to stretch too because stretching is really vital in all athletes, whatever sport you play. You got to stretch, otherwise injuries are gonna happen just because it's how it is. Your muscles gotta be loose and ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to explain what is you said cryotherapy is, just for people that don't know?
Cryotherapy is it's a chamber basically, and it's where you step into the chamber where your head is still out, but the rest of your body is pretty much submerged in it, and it blows cold air on your body. It gets super, super cold. I couldn't even tell you how cold it gets, but it pretty much just goes and it releases that cold air onto your body. And it's like taking an ice bath, but in a quicker form. It's only 3 minutes while you're in the chamber compared to a 15, 20-minute ice bath.
Mm-hmm. So is that also good for mental toughness, I'm assuming? Because cold is, it gets cold.
I definitely think it challenged you the first few times. After the first 3 times, I think you're kind of just used to it. You're used to that numbness that comes to your body. But the first few times you're sitting there, you're like, should I do this again? It's really questionable, but you feel great after for sure. Most definitely.
Yeah. So now we're going to work in towards the recruiting side of things. So what was the first camp that you have ever gone to?
The first camp I went to collegiate wise was Davenport University up in Grand Rapids. So that was the first collegiate camp I had, but I did a lot of Rising Stars camps.
All right. And then is there a specific camp that you'd recommend to people trying to like either get their name out there or trying to like get offers for the first time?
I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called with the Sound Mind Sound Body, the Fair State Mega Camp. There's a lot of coaches that go to that camp, and I think it's a really good way to get exposure and get your name out there. Go out there and compete with kids. And I've seen a lot of kids get offers from that camp. Also, any Rising Stars camps you can go to, they do a really good job of getting all types of recruiters out there from all over the country, and they try to help their kids get out as much as possible. So those two, and then any type of mega camp you can find. The mega camps are where there's a lot of schools there, so there could be 50 to 100 schools from around the country that are watching. So mega camps are really good for you too.
Mm-hmm. So, what was the first offer you received from a college, and when was that?
My first offer was Alma College, and that was back in May of this year.
And then, what are some of the other offers that you've received from colleges?
I've received offers from Mount Union, Northwood University, Siena Heights, Lawrence Tech, Concordia, Ann Arbor, Lake Erie College, and trying to think of some more. Clark University, and a few more, but it all kind of slips my mind, honestly. There's a lot.
Yeah. Is there a college that's in the lead, would you say, or are you still kind of like easing through things to?
I mean, I'm still kind of weighing it out, honestly. I like Northwood a lot. I like Concordia a lot. But yeah, I'm not really leaning anywhere right now. I like a lot of the schools that have already shown interest in me.
Mm-hmm. So, what would you say that an offer looks like from a college like Alma compared to a college like Northwood?
Alma was basically, I went on a visit to the school, and the coach talked to me after, and he sent me a picture of the graphic, and it said offered. So that was basically how the Alma offer worked. And it was the same thing with Northwood pretty much. I was on a visit, but this time, they pulled me out and they talked to me. They pulled me aside and talked to me. You told me, hey, like, we're giving you, scholarship to come play football here. So I'd say the format of it kind of is the same. Just the feeling might be a little bit different, just because the two levels of what you're playing at.
Yeah. So, what exactly are you looking for from the college that you are going to eventually commit to?
I'm just looking for, first of all, a coach that, cares for his players just as much as a person, just as well as a football player, because, I feel like mental health is a big thing in our players nowadays. And I feel like, if a coach can focus on that as well as, your physical play, then you're in a really good spot, honestly, because they're going to care for you and make sure you're always good. And then also just, good football.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good, it's a good thing you want is a good football team.
Yeah.
So, what are you most excited about when it comes to playing college football?
The new challenges, honestly. I'm really looking forward to just, being pushed to places I haven't pushed to before. Because obviously, in high school, when you go to college on that team, everyone was the best player on their team pretty much, or one of the top players on their team. So I feel like the competition will be a lot better, and I'll just be pushed to a different level, and that really make me excel because I got to, be in my A game every day.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what you're going to major in yet?
Thinking either business or exercise science. I'm not too specific what area of business yet, but I know exercise science. Just yeah, either one of those two. Not really too specific right now. Still kind of evening it out.
Nice. And then, what are some long-term goals that you have?
Like beyond college, or is that what?
For college or just beyond college?
So some goals I have for when I get to my first year, my second year in college. I want to try and work my way in the rotation my freshman year. Just as much as possible wherever that's at, whether it's on special teams, whether it's on being a receiver. I want to just try and prove a point when I first get there that I belong and that I can compete with those guys. And then obviously want to go on a 4-year school and graduate and get a college degree.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that you talk to other either commits or players getting recruited to the colleges that you've gotten offers from?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I've had a lot of conversations with kids who are either already at the school or, are still talking to the school, trying to figure out where they're going to go and not just see everybody's heads at, see if you have any upcoming roommates you might be rooming with or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Then, is there any advice that you'd have for players that are like want to play at the next level and are trying to get their name out there?
Be patient, honestly. Don't try to rush it. Don't think that you're running out of time because anything can happen. I've seen kids get offers in, May of their senior year and end up going to play at that school and doing very well. It's all just a matter of, waiting for your time, but just keep your head down, work hard, and, keep pushing. Stuff's going to happen for you. You just got to be really patient with it because you know it can happen.
Mm-hmm. So now we're going to look back at your career on your accomplishments so far. So as I already mentioned, you're a 3-year varsity starter, but you run a 4.4 40-yard dash, which that's fast for those of you that can't tell from the time. And then you're ranked top 100 for the class of 2023. So that like out of, I don't know how many high school players there is in the state, but like there's obviously thousands. So that's extremely impressive. So props to you there. But so this is a fun question I always have with my guests. But who is the hardest person that you've had to play against, or most talented that you've had to play against?
I'd probably say, honestly, this year I played a lot of good players this year because our schedule's been super hard. So we've had a lot of good players to play against. But I'm probably gonna say either Amari Snowden. He goes to Roseville. I think he was really, really good. He's going to Cincinnati, so I think it's kind of obvious that obviously he's gonna be a good player. Or I'd probably say Amari, just from like a standpoint of going against him and having to get open. It was kind of tough.
Mm-hmm. And then who would you say is the most talented player that you've played with?
Whom I played with. A while back, I played with I had a teammate in middle school, and then my freshman year, his name's Keon. He goes to Stevenson. I think Keon was just a freak athlete, honestly. But actually, him and there's this kid named Jason Azar who was on my team last year. He was our running back, and Jason was like insane. I've never met a kid with just such raw talent who just like came to the field and just destroyed everybody. So Keon or Jason, I'd probably say.
All right. So what would you say was your welcome to varsity moment?
Honestly, our first day of hitting when I was a sophomore, I knew it was pretty hyped up. Everybody was like super ready, and I was like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm ready for this. But the first time I got hit, it shook me because they're trying to take your head off. So they came in. I'm pretty sure I got flipped over, and it was crazy. I think it just kind of was like, you better bring it next time you come in there. It's steep.
Yeah. Varsity football is a different animal.
Yeah.
So who would you say are some of your biggest role models throughout your career so far?
My dad, for sure. I say he played a big role, just football, but for me in general, how much I had to work. And my coaches over at Rising Stars have always been like really encouraging and really they're there for me. So probably those two categories are my two biggest influences when it comes to football.
And then what coach has made the biggest impact on your life and career so far?
Honestly, my little league coach, his name was Coach Jim. I talk to him to this day still, obviously, but he was always there for me. He's been like pretty much a second dad, honestly. Just with football, with life, anything, he's always been there for me. And he's always supported me with my goals and my dreams and whatnot. So he's definitely, the coach that's always just been the best to me.
So, what was the biggest setback or roadblock that you've had to overcome, and what got you through with that roadblock?
I'd probably honestly say my knee, just because, it's your junior year. It's kind of a big year for high school football athletes because that's when, they start getting recruited by colleges and they start getting looked at. So I think when I got hurt, it took a big hit to me, honestly. And I was just kind of like, man, like, where am I going to go from here? How am I going to, figure it out and get back on the coach's radars or whatnot? But like I said, just the recovery was with, physical therapy, cryotherapy, and making sure I got a lot more flexible in that time because, that really helps like I said, helps you get your muscles loose and it keeps you really just agile and not in pain when you're playing. So all that.
So what would you say motivates you as a football player?
The thought of younger kids who, want to be in your position one day and want to do the things that you do. I think that's something that's like, man, I gotta keep going. I gotta prove to them that, it's possible.
And then have you ever felt like giving up, and like what prevented you from giving up, if you have?
I've had like the thoughts, I was never gonna go through with it, but I've had like, thoughts of just like, man, is this for me? Or like, should I find something else or whatnot? But I've always just stuck out just because I know that God has a plan for me with whatever I want to do in life. And, if it's football, then I know he's gonna be there. He's gonna help me stick it out. So I just always had that feeling that, that there's a plan for you. So you gotta stick out and keep pushing.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say is the best advice you'd have for someone trying to earn a starting role on a varsity team?
Compete. Don't be afraid to compete because that's what coaches want to see. They want to see you go out there and, the dude has a starting spot. They want to see you go after him. They want to see you outdo him. They want to see you just not be afraid of that competition. They want to see you rise to the occasion. So don't be afraid, work hard, and just keep at it. Don't be satisfied with whatever you're at.
And then what would you say is the best way that you found to balance sports and school?
Honestly, you gotta really, when you're in the class, no one likes homework. No one wants to do homework. I think it's pretty obvious. So I think when you're in the classroom, just get your work done. Don't try and wait for it. Don't try and say, "Oh, I'll do it after practice," because after practice you're gonna be dead and you're gonna be thinking like, "Man, I don't want to do this. I'm just gonna go in the shower and just go to sleep." But get as much work as you can in class done and just focus, even when it's tiring, even when you don't feel like doing it. End of the day, you'll definitely be more thankful that you sat there and you stuck it out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's all I have for you. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
I'm good, honestly. I appreciate you again for having me. I really do.
Yeah, it's a great interview. Thank you for coming out.
No doubt.
I'd like to thank Tommie for coming on to today's show. He's a great athlete and had lots of great advice. If you're new here, catch up on all the episodes that you've missed. Make sure to leave a like and a comment. As always, my name is Calvin Custance, and this is The Blueprint.